Hi everyone, and welcome to Glacier Trading Company. I've been a professional buyer for most of my adult life. I'm Craig. Join me from my remote northern location as I buy and sell antiques, collectibles, and vintage from interesting locations and from interesting people, and resell those items online. I buy from auctions, estate liquidations, stores, and from folks that just look me up and simply ask if I want to buy their items. Hang out with me for a bit and see what I got this week, and meet some of the local wildlife that live in my backyard. Let's get to it. Hey guys, uh, going to one of my old haunts down here in Mount Dora, Florida, Treasure Marts. It's got maybe 100 or so vendors inside, a lot of antiques and collectibles, a lot of cool stuff. And it's Christmas season right now, so it's nice to be out of the cold in Wisconsin and down here in Florida for a short visit. And let's go see what we can find and put on the website. Let's go. So as it turns out, they had Shania Twain just blasting in there, and to avoid a copyright strike, I'm forced to do a voiceover for the first portion of this while I'm going through Treasure Marts. I used to have many booths at Treasure Marts years ago. I know these guys, we go way back. We go back from when they first opened their doors. I was one of their first vendors in there. And really good people, really a nice store. They have a number of them. I'll put a screenshot up of the front of their website, which, by the way, still has a picture of one of my booths on their front cover of their website. Anyway, that's fine. I'm flattered. Um, at the store I was in, which was right down the road from this one, there were about 100 vendors. I think there's pretty close to 100 in this particular store too. And if you are a vendor, if you're somebody that wants to buy and sell antiques or vintage collectibles, if you're into mid-century modern, whatever your niche is, I would highly recommend a place like this, because you go in there and you set up your booth and you get to go home. They have the front counter staffed. All of your price tags are unique to you. They're barcoded. And they'll sell your stuff. They'll help them load it up. They'll do all that for you for part of the fee structure that you pay. So if you're going to have your own brick and mortar store, don't forget, you got rent, you got lights, you got slip and fall insurance, you got help, all that stuff. So I ran across these, and these I really like. These are real old time ceramic, porcelain, whatever you want to call it, syrup dispensers from like an old ice cream parlor, or even old soda fountains had those too. And a variety of different things would have been kept in there. But, if it was an ice cream shop, you'd have your chocolate syrup and cherry and all the other different flavors that you might have. And they also made these with like little hinged lid condiment containers that were in the exact same design as this, so they would complement each other. And well, I saw these. I just don't run across these very often. I thought, wow, these are really cool. So I snagged 5 of them actually. And this guy really has a good eye. He's got some really cool stuff. Check out that Victorian lamp. Beautiful, awesome, really nice piece. But anyway, like I said before, if you're ever thinking about dipping your toe in the water, so to speak, for some type of little antique or vintage retail spot, consider a booth set up like this. Once you get the thing loaded up, you really only have to stop in once every couple of days and reorganize things, because people will kind of beat your place up. They're not real good about putting things back exactly like they found them. That's any retail situation though. But you don't have to worry about maintaining the building and the lights and the bathrooms and employees and all that stuff. And at the end of the month, you go in there and get a check. And it's pretty cool. I wasn't sure whether I should go past this part right here. So this particular booth had a lot of really cool mid-century stuff in it. I walked by it and then I came back again later. But see, stuff like this, even though I'd love to sell that, selling basically online, I'm just begging to have stuff like that broken. It's real tough to box up stuff like that and get it to its destination. Actually, what I did buy, I ended up buying that grocery cart full of those syrup dispensers. Those are going to be a challenge to get from point A to point B too, but I think they're heavy duty enough and they're square enough that I should have a real good chance of having success boxing those up and getting them to their destination. I was surprised when I went through there how many vendors are still there from when I used to be there. I closed my booths out right before the pandemic lockdown happened in 19. I'm sorry, in 2020. It was like March of 2020. And I just knew I wasn't going to be, because I'm in Wisconsin, so it's kind of hard to be in both places at once. And I didn't know if they were going to let us travel from state to state. It was really a lot of unknowns how that was all going to play out. So I just thought it best to pull out. And I miss it though. It's a fun environment. The people there are always, the shoppers, the people that work there, it's just a really cool crowd. They're all real chill, real laid back, good people to hang out with all day. I thought that was really neat. I love any old manuals. By the way, you guys, the new Glacier Trading Company t-shirts are in. How much fun is that? Of course, you'll look better in it than I do. So let me know if there's any interest and we'll see what we can do about getting one to you. So I was basically looking for smalls that I could get in a box. I do a lot in wood bowls, so these got my eye, but this one was exceptionally unusual. Typically when I get a turn bowl, that bowl's been turned on a lathe. They're laminated, but that's not. That's like a center chunk of the tree, and those darker circles that you see going around the outside, those are limbs. So usually they take blocks of wood and they glue them together and laminate, a big chunk of wood. They don't usually just take the core, like take a tree trunk and just turn the bowl out of that. That's very unusual. And I suspect it had a lid. It just looks like it was machined to have a lid, and that wasn't there, or I probably would have bought that. Oh, that's a cute set. Rush bottom. Those are beautiful. No price, I guess they're free. When I went through this particular booth, I started recognizing things that were previously mine. My biggest customer are really vendors. Even at the antique store in Wisconsin, most of the people I sell to there are vendors. Now this ashtray, this floor standing ashtray, is made in Italy. It's brass, it's marble, it's glass, it's got it all. Gorgeous piece. That was mine. And I immediately recognized that decanter up there with the clear and amberina glass. It's footed, applied handle. And I remember when she came in, she bought a bunch of stuff for me. And it's always cool to see when people buy their stuff from me and they go and resell it. Pretty neat. My shopping cart runneth over. Check out the cool glass art. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's all like 3D. Very inventive. Beautiful booth. It's like a furniture store. Gorgeous. Oh look, they got a woman for sale here. How much?
Not for sale, sir. I'm sorry to tell you.
It never hurts to ask.
I know, right? That's true. It doesn't.
Hey guys, so I'm back at my shoot table with these really cool old syrup dispensers that I got yesterday. These four actually match, even though the tops of the pump, that back there, you can see this one still has remnants of the old insert in it. It's the same thing. Let me grab that better. See? That old Art Deco design on, isn't that cool? These four are Fishmen. And I haven't checked out to see if these still function or not, but any manual pump like this, there isn't much to it. Maybe an O-ring, and that's probably it. An O-ring and a spring, I would assume, is probably the end of it. The porcelain, for the most part, is pretty good shape. I think a couple of them have some small chips on them, but overall, yeah, see this right here? These would have been rack mounted. They probably would have been in a some kind of a rack where they could be pulled in and out for easy cleaning. And insides are good. I mean, I don't clean stuff when I buy it for resale. I used to do it all the time when I first started my eBay store and sold on some of the other platforms, and I just got scolded by customers nonstop. What did you use this on it for? Why didn't you clean it like this? And you know what? I find it, I resell it, and I put a disclaimer in there. You can process this how you see fit, because some people are really experts at this stuff. Like these are likely nickel. I don't think that's chrome. Maybe it is. Hard to say. I'm going to say nickel. Now, you know what? That's stainless right there. And that's a bad example because stainless, it's kind of hard to hurt it. But if it was brass, or if it was copper, or if it was nickel, all of that stuff gets processed differently. And you can't have 5 people that work with brass sitting next to each other that'll come up with 5 answers that are exactly the same. Everybody has their own recipe. If you don't think I'm accurate on that, go on eBay and put in the search bar cast iron skillet, and you'll get 20 cast iron skillets. Every one of those guys is an expert. Every one of those guys has the best way, the only way. There's no other way to process cast iron that's old and restore it. And when you see how their process that they go through it, they're so far removed from one another, it's not even funny. So all I know is I just buy and resell antiques, collectibles, vintage. I'm not a restoration person. Any of the projects that you see me do, it's not for anybody else. And I wouldn't probably do a restoration for somebody else, because I have my own idea how I want it to look when I'm done with it. It's for my own use. I keep it, you know. But back to this. You can see on the bottom, it's the Fishman Company. And this is actually a reservoir. I don't know if you can see this inside, but the reservoir is where the sump of the pump drops into that. So these are actually quite efficient, because everything, the last drop is going to run into that part. And I think this is slightly later design than this one. And this is an old Hall. And there's probably more old hulls out there than any other kind. This one's got a crack in it, but I think it's still good. Let me see. I don't know if you can see that. Trying to get it to focus. But anyway, there's really no reservoir on that. Just the bottom is flat where everything will run into it. And again, you know, this is in pretty good shape. These are kind of cool because of the glass jewel in there. I don't know if that'll come apart. Let's. Yeah. So they make these. See? That comes out. So you can print out on a piece of paper chocolate or orange or, you know, cherry or whatever you want, and you would place that underneath there, and all your different let's say you had a rack of these, you just line it up so it says whatever flavor happens to be in that particular porcelain canister. And I think the guts on these back in those days was nickel. I suspect this is quite a bit older than those. A lot of patina. This is for sure chrome up here. Nickel doesn't bubble like that. Nickel just usually just kind of gets thin and almost just like wears through, like your fingers, like your hands, just from handling it actually sanded through the finish. Where chrome just bubbles and pits and just looks horrible. That I think is stainless. I'd probably bet that was stainless. So yeah, quite a bit of different metals going on in that one. So yeah, so I'll get these. I'm not sure how I'm going to sell them yet. Maybe probably. I know some people like selling these by the set. I will probably just do them individually, unless somebody sees this and requests it, just from a packing standpoint. And maybe I'll do a video on that. I don't like getting into heavy glass or porcelain or ceramics and that sort of thing, just from the breakage aspect. The post office loves breaking stuff. And if you don't think that's true, go watch them load hoppers and watch them load a truck sometime. They stand across the room and they throw. The only thing you might have a prayer is if something is super heavy, because it's too heavy for them to throw. But this is a pretty good throwing weight. And I don't care what kind of box, I don't care how you pad that thing up. You hurl, 80-year-old porcelain across the room, it's probably not going to survive it. So my customer's not going to like it, but I'll send that FedEx, because FedEx is, since it's a private company, there's this thing that the employees have. It's called accountability. Yes, accountability. That means if you break too much stuff, we will fire you. Where at the post office, try to get fired from the post office. You pretty much have to bring a gun to work and shoot somebody to get fired from the post office. So anyway, that's how these are going to go. But maybe I'll do a video on how I pack something like this up so I can make my absolute level best effort to get it to its destination in one piece. So there you go. That's what I got yesterday. Pretty happy with those purchases. I'll likely sell these for 40 or 50 bucks a piece. Two of them were less than the others. This one was more than that one. I have to see how it breaks down, because there was condition issues. Like this particular one, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but there's a chunk out of the corner here. See that? There's a chip. So the guy that was selling them, he had them all marked a little bit different. Another chip back here. So yeah, they all weren't exactly the same. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. And if you guys would, hit the subscribe button for me. When you subscribe, it costs you nothing. It's just pushing a button. And it really helps out the channel, allows me to make more videos and keep doing this. It's funny, my demographics come through on my dashboard for YouTube. 90% seems to be the number across YouTube of people that regularly go to somebody's YouTube channel and don't push the subscribe button. Of all the people that land on the videos, only 10% actually push the button. So if you would, hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.